Welcome to the Michael Zehr Show. Today's date is May 31st, 2024. It's the last day in May. It went by awfully fast. We're coming to you from the Rising Eagle Studios at the Warrior Healing Center here in Sierra Vista, Arizona. So my special guest veteran today is Burton Schwartz. Burton, I want to thank you so much for taking time out and coming in and sitting down and talking with us and sharing us your story with us, your story of service to our country. So what was it that inspired you to join the military? What branch?
Originally, I was looking to get into aviation, so I was looking at all avenues. So I ended up going for the Marine Corps because that's who came out to actually contact me. Originally, I was going for the Air Force because my family was like, "Hey, you're the golden child. You can't be, doing anything crazy." And I was just like, "Well, I'm going to join whatever I can, whatever's available." So a Marine ended up picking me up, and that's what got me into there. Originally, before that, I had talked to. I used to be an APA, which is the American Pool Association, and there was a CIA agent, ex-agent that was there. He was retired, and he had told me to go in the military because he saw, a future in me. So I ended up looking into those avenues, and then eventually got in.
Wow, where did you enlist from?
I enlisted from Michigan.
In Michigan?
Yeah.
But you're from New York City, you had shared with me earlier,
yes.
so...
I bounced around a lot.
How did you end up from New York City to Michigan?
I was in New York. I moved to Florida. From Florida, I worked the job for about 5 years. It got constant and stagnant pretty much. I didn't want to do it anymore. And every day was the same. So I was like, I can't keep working like this every day. It's the same. It was crazy. So I ended up moving up state with my buddies, and they were like, hey, try out college. And if you don't like that, there's also the military, law enforcement. So I ended up looking at law enforcement. And, military was it.
How old were you when you enlisted?
25. I was pretty old.
Okay, cool.
Especially for the Marine Corps.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But I bet you did good, didn't you?
I tried.
Those big guns that you got there, right?
I went from skinny to big. I just I got bigger. Once I got to Okinawa, Japan, I got huge because all you do out there is just work out.
So, what was your... Now, I know in the Army we call it the military occupational specialty. I forget the Marine Corps has a different term for it, don't they?
Yes.
What is
MOS.
It? For your... Yeah.
Yeah, so my MOS was a 5351. It's kind of a weird MOS because it's a ground technician for aviation. So we do a lot of equipment maintenance and setup for... flight lines, basically. So if they needed a flight line in the middle of nowhere, we could set up some of those equipment that we would, set it up for weather or comm, whoever needs that information, radar. We also work with nav aids as well. So it's kind of like a quad unit that sets up for a flight line.
And where did you go to school for that?
I went to Pensacola, Florida for a school. That was it was a trip. I was there for a year. I never thought going to the Marine Corps that I was going to go back to school. And it was difficult. And they were like, hey, the attrition rate's going to be 80%, 80%. Some of you guys aren't going to make it. You're going to drop out of your MOS. I was freaking out. I was like, I'm not smart enough for that. And, lo and behold, I followed the rules and just went about my business and got things done, just doing the regular, just following my rules. So I made it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you went back to, was that the same area of Florida that you had been in before? Or?
No, I was in, so that's north of Florida, kind of toward the Panhandle. It's kind of toward, I think, Louisiana area, going out that way, because there was a lot of air stations that were all intertwined over there. So that it was different from where I was at. I was originally in Clearwater, Florida, and that area is a little bit different. There's not as much military presence as there is.
Oh, okay.
So it was different being in a military town. And over the time, I got used to it once I was moving through bases and traveling a lot. And I was like, okay, this is a military town. This is a military town. This is a base out in the middle of nowhere. That I'm, So I got used to that type of stuff.
And what was your first permanent duty station?
My first permanent duty station was Okinawa, Japan. I kind of jumped on that as soon as possible because I got offered that, and they were like, hey, anybody want to go out to Japan? It was me and my other guy. It was 4 of us, and I was like, send me out. I want to go explore. I want to travel. I want to experience, the life. And
So tell me what it's like though when you're growing up in New York City and living in America, all these different locations, and then you go to Okinawa. It's like a whole different culture and food and everything, right?
Yeah, growing up in New York, you got to be tough. Everything's crazy. Everything's moving fast constantly. It's busy 24/7. And moving over to Okinawa, Japan, it was also a similar difference, but in retrospect, that people were nicer because typically New Yorkers are seen as the tough crowd, the rough crowd.
Right.
So when I got there and everybody was treating me nicely, I was like in shock. I was like, they're like, oh, good morning, how are you doing? Do you need any more? I was like, wow, it's like full service over here. I'm getting everything. People treat me nicely. A lot of people thought I was looked like Steve Harvey too because I had the mustache going. So I do have a picture of that somewhere.
Cool.
In one of these files. So
Awesome.
It was funny. So I got to take a lot of pictures.
So when you got to Okinawa and you stepped off, what was like the first thing that you noticed about it?
The air was different because when you travel to a different city, the air is different. It smelled more. I want to say not as city as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't as city. The fruit was different. The food was different. I'm a big food person because you see how big I am. So I was constantly eating. Everything was different. The food was different. The drinks were different. Everything was changed, and I felt like I was in a different environment totally. And then it hit me. I was like, oh man, this is Japan. Because when I went out in town, nobody was speaking English as much, and I was just like, I messed up.
How did you communicate with?
I should have studied.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I ended up volunteering at a lot of places. The MWR was one of the main ones I was volunteering for every week. Even at A school, I was volunteering for MWR. A lot of times it was recommended that most people volunteer for it. Most people got voluntold.
Right.
I just took it, as much as I could because I was like, it's less likely I'm going to get in trouble if I'm volunteering, and I'm going to get more network connections if I'm out volunteering, which I did. I met a lot of people. I met Colonel Chipman from the Elks Club. Those guys were another association that I was helping out with, and that was interesting. He had a good story about his Vietnam trips. He started off, he told me he was peeling potatoes at first, and then he ended up flying helicopters, got shot down a bunch of times. Handed me a challenge coin, too. I was like, wow. I think it was my first challenge coin, matter of fact.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was a 3-star. I was like, what? And then I was just shocked. I never met this guy. He seemed like he's pretty cool. So
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, what year were you there in Okinawa?
I was there from 2000. I want to say it was early 2018, all the way up to 2020.
Could you use your phone? Did they have the technology then where you could translate? Like if you were having language issues, you could use your phone to translate it?
Kind of, but that was also an issue because the phones were different over there. They run on different networks. So I had to get a Japanese phone. Their phones are different too. So then I was using translations at first, and then I'm very adaptive. So I started learning little bits. I listened to conversations, and I was like, okay, this is that. So I'm gonna mimic that, and then possibly I might be right. If I'm wrong, somebody will tell me that I'm wrong and fix me. So. Doing the volunteer, I ended up volunteering on, I think it was Camp Schwab for English translation. So you get to meet the locals, and they come in and they want to learn English, and you get to be friends with them and stuff. So that was great. I had a lot of students, and I had fun teaching as well. I didn't think I would teach ever, but I had a couple guys that ended up leaving and changing stations. So I ended up becoming an instructor. So. That was actually fun making the classes and getting to know everybody, and I love my students. They were amazing. I had anybody from teenagers to the elderly, so it was great meeting them and talking about their experience and how they felt about the Marine Corps being in Okinawa and their years dealing with everybody. So it was an enjoyable experience because you get to see their life, a little bit of their life, and then they also teach too. So that's why I learned Japanese, and then. I was also camp guard for a point in time because as soon as I got into my shop, they were like, hey, you're going to go to camp guard. I was like, okay, I guess I was getting sent out. So I went to camp guard for a while. So I was patrolling out in town and making sure everything was good. And I ended up, for the bars, I ended up learning Japanese from the bartenders. So then I became more fluent.
Okay.
So it was nice. It was nice. That's how I originally learned.
So in Japanese, tell us how it would sound like, or if you can give us a demonstration of what it would be like to order a drink, or can you order a food or something in
So
Japanese?
so the restaurants are really nice because you can go in, they're gonna say their original greeting, Ohio gozaimasu, and then you're gonna be like, oh okay, come in, they're gonna ask you what you want on the menu. They have like separate items, so you're like, okay, mizu, and you just tell them whether you want meat, rice, the gohan, the different types of whatever's on the menu. It's a huge menu. You can order whatever you want that was on there. And it was a lot too. And then they constantly bring water out. I like the fact that they had little beepers on the table so you could call your waitress if you need
Really?
to. That was mind blowing because I was just like, boom, and then it came. I was like, I'm getting my full service. It was a nice change because sometimes you go out somewhere and you're like, man, I've been here for 25 minutes. I ain't got my food, no water, no coffee, nothing. And I've been waiting.
Right.
There, it was instant.
Yeah.
I had my water on the table, a menu, everything. If I didn't understand something, they quickly translated it for me or had somebody there to translate it for me. Or they already had it in translation. So that was also nice. So it was fantastic time.
Some of our local restaurants ought to try that trick for the beeper thing, because sometimes it's really hard to get a hold of one of your servers. So.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot to do with those restaurants. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the fact that they don't have enough staff. Nowadays there's not enough people working, so that causes a big issue. And, if you only got 4 workers and they're busting 25 tables, that's they're running back and forth.
Overworked.
So there's so many mistakes.
Definitely.
That happen,
so tell me, what's your favorite cuisine over in Okinawa?
Oh man,
your go-to dish?
It's between So they have this place called Coco's, and the Okinawans they like Coco's, but it's not it's like a regular dish place. It's kind of like a KFC for us. So they were like, nah, you got to go out to these hole in the wall places. There's one breakfast place that was really good. It had a nice view of the ocean. They had these fluffy pancakes. It was crazy because it was almost like eating a cake for breakfast.
Wow.
And then the syrup was like, it tastes perfect, but it had 0 sugar in it. And I was I was confused. It was clear. I didn't know what to think. I was like, what is going on? Well, actually, it wasn't syrup. It was the sugar that these diabetic sugar that they had over there. And
wow.
you could pour it on, boom, no sugar, and it tastes delicious. The syrup was amazing. Like I said, I'm traumatized by how good I had it. And I came in and then like, here's the food. And it's just like all messed up, doesn't look good. You ever look at a menu and the food is actually like looks perfect? That's what it was. But I think out of most of the things, the chicken katsu kagarage combo was my best because I used to run a lot and I hated running. I dreaded it. And running 10 miles a day, that sucked. It was brutal at first. And then I got used to it. And then they had these all-you-can-eat places. And then we had went to the curry chicken spot. And what had happened was at Coco's, they have this big, huge chicken dish. And I was like, oh, man, I'm gonna destroy this. I'm going to get as much protein as possible so I can like refuel for the next day. And we were just eating that every time we had to do marathons, PFTs and stuff. We were like, okay, we're done our PFT, done at the weigh-in. We're going to go smash food real quick.
Now, I can tell by talking to you, I don't even have to ask you what your favorite duty station was, because I already know. It sounds like you had a really good time over there.
I did.
What was your daily routine like over there for like going into work and stuff and doing your job?
I had worked at 3rd Intel, so my job was kind of, like I said, it was kind of weird. It's a unicorn job. It was a ground maintenance electronics for aviation. So you either on a flight line or sometimes you end up at an Intel station. I got put at an Intel station in Japan, so that kind of threw me through a rut. That's why I kind of got sent out as soon as possible. When I got there, they were like, hey, we need a body to go to campground. So I was doing little odd jobs before I actually started my job.
Okay.
So I ended up working at 3rd Intel, which is kind of like in the front of the base on Camp Hansen, on the 3rd gate, I believe. So usually go into, you get ready for work, do your PT, change over. You got about 10 minutes to walk over. I always carried a second pair of camis just because it was the thing that I didn't prepare for in Okinawa. Texas and Florida have nothing on humidity compared to sweating. I sweat bullets.
Really? Japan was that?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That was crazy heat, and I was bugging because I kept seeing people out there just running, hiking, and they're not sweating, and I'm like, is something wrong with me? I'm drenched. My clothes are soaked. They look like I just swam. So by the time I got to work, I always changed my camis. So or I kept a pair of camis at work, so I changed over there. And then, because it was a secure building, we keep our electronics outside, and then you just go into work, do what you got to do, get your stuff done, and then head out to chow. For a while, I was going to chow during chow time, but then I got a group together and we started PTing during chow time because we started seeing some of our cohorts, working out, and we were like, how I want to be as big as that guy, because for some reason all the Okinawa Marines they're huge, every single one of them. And I was just like, man, I want to be as big as that. So I was constantly working out with those guys. So we were building a fitness group, going out, working out, swimming, doing constant stuff during chow time because you're gonna eat anyways when you get back in the building. So we ended up taking our chow back and finishing up work and then getting chow afterward and continuing about the day after that. So after like 1600 or 1700, you're pretty much set to go, depending on who your shop lead was and whether or not you got their goals done for the day.
Wow. So, what was your fondest memory of serving in the Marines? Looking back over what you did there, do you have like a certain incident that sticks out?
Yes, because there was a big unit bash kind of thing. We had this great colonel. I keep forgetting his name. Was it Colonel Nash? I think it might have been Colonel Nash. He was Lieutenant Colonel. My apologies. He was Lieutenant Colonel Nash at the time. He was in charge of the 3rd Intel. That guy was phenomenal. Probably I would have followed him anywhere. He came out. He got to know the whole entire unit. It was about 4 weeks in. He gave me my pass because when you go to Okinawa, Japan, you got to have a pass to go out off base and stuff. It usually takes 2 to 4 weeks to get. He was like, hey, me and my wife are going to have a birthday. You're allowed to come if you want to. You're invited. Everybody in the battalion is invited. And I was like, that was a shocker to me because, the Marine Corps is rough and tough. So having somebody come out and be like human to me and be like, hey, come out to the party. We're going to have a good time. We're going to the beach. It was great. We had a phenomenal time. There was this, I forgot the beach's name, but it was on a resort. We had a blast. There was like a little, kind of like a playground on the water. It was like one of those floating playground things. It was fun. Yeah, we were jumping around, falling in the water. we were just having a good old time. And I was like probably one of my fondest memories. I was like, I want to actually stay here because this is like one of those stations that everybody tells me about. That's like, man, this place is going to be good. The base itself probably had a little bit of issues, but my unit itself was really good when he was in charge. So
wow,
I had a great time. My staff, my NCOs, everybody at the time was really good. So I got treated well in the beginning and had a great time. So I was locked in after that.
Did you go anywhere after Okinawa?
No, I didn't. I kind of was stuck. I was back.
So you stayed there about your entire enlistment then?
Yeah. I didn't even want to leave. To be honest with you, I did not want to leave it. I was kind of attached to that station just because I got used to working there. I was picking up after the guy that was behind before me. So things were behind, and I'm a fix-it person, so I like to get everything organized. I had everything set up, and I was just like, okay, now that I got things normalized, we can start getting work done.
So you're a perfect fit for the military then if you like to be organized.
Yeah, I always I'm a hands-on person. So and I like organization. So I was like, I want to get things done, but I want to get things done my way that's not inconvenient to everybody else. So if you have an opinion about it, let me know as your NCO so I can fix whatever we got that's an issue. That way I'm taking everybody's opinion. If they know how to do it better, they know I could take that in and then we can use that as a group and get the job done. So I was goal-oriented when I was over there. I was like, whatever gets the job done. Whatever benefits us, makes us, get ahead a little bit,
right.
I'd be happy. So
what positive experience did you get from serving in the military that you took with you into the civilian sector?
The camaraderie and the respect for the human life. I mean, when you get in the military, you kind of understand the world is a little bit bigger. You're no longer locked in. You're like, oh, I'm in the United States now. You're like, oh, wow, the world is, constantly on fire. And there's so many things going on, all the time. Working in intel, that's a big thing, especially with counterintelligence and all that other stuff. So you get to learn that the world is way bigger than, New York and that small area that you were in, or Florida where you were small. Like I was thinking so small at the time when I was a civilian about what am I doing here that's impacting my area, instead of thinking what am I doing that's impacting the world. And once I had gotten in the military, that was a big thing for me. So I tell people go out, do something, try to change as much as you can, help out with the community, because there's a lot of things that are messed up and they need to get fixed. So
Right. And what did you do on the civilian side when you got out?
I took a break.
Break?
I was working a lot. I was busting my chops in Okinawa, and I felt bad for my guys because I was constantly making them work. I was making them work super late, but I was like, you know what? We work super late, but guess what? For the rest of the week, we got we're just chilling. Everybody goes home early, so I took a little break. I went to school. I'm still in school right now. Definitely using that GI Bill to benefit off of getting the education. Which helps out a lot because that's what I want to pursue. I'm just kind of stuck on what I want to do now because I kind of have medical injuries, so that kind of put me behind.
So we had been talking earlier about your filing for the VA and happening to deal with the VA. How long did it take you after you were out before you filed your claim with them?
So my claim was kind of filed a little bit beforehand because when I was in Okinawa, I had a medical issue, and from that medical issue, it was so bad that they had to. They gave me a while to kind of figure it out, but what had happened was COVID had happened. So my medical stuff got pushed to the side because COVID was rampant. There was no kind of order into getting anything done, and so I got pushed to the wayside for a little bit. And it wasn't until I got to Camp Pendleton that I got exited out of the Marine Corps because of my medical issues, and then I filed immediately after I got out because that's what I was instructed to do.
Right.
Because I needed to follow up into the medical problem because it was unknown at the time what I actually had, and then once I got the medical treatment, then they started trying to pick and prod it and see exactly what was going on. It wasn't until last year they actually figured it out, so it took them 4 years to figure out what was wrong with me, which was pretty bad because they were like, yeah, it's severe. Yeah, you're pretty much done. No more crazy football plays.
Right.
So I can't be hulking around too much anymore. So I got to be careful. And then I got back problems like everybody else. So that started kicking up. So now I'm kind of thinking my careers now because of that. And I'm trying to help out a lot of other people too because on the way getting my own VA stuff, other people were like, hey, do this. Oh, I need help with this. So I started helping out my guys. And then I ended up starting helping out other people because they overheard from, so-and-so that I was helping out this person. And I was like, okay, I got no problem helping you out get your VA stuff. Because like I said, a lot of times if you're not computer savvy with the VA website, you're going to be lost in the sauce. You can really just click on one thing, boom, you're in a different place. You don't know where you're going.
Right.
Or sometimes the website doesn't work. I mean, it happens. It's network connection, So I didn't have a problem helping people, and I don't mind it. I love helping out other veterans, and I was doing that for free. I never charge anybody for anything because no one ever charged me for the help that I got. So I'm thankful for everybody to help me get myself, together. So because I was lost, I didn't know what to do.
So how did you end up coming here to Cochise County?
I had a friend that I was helping out, so she had moved out here and needed help. So I was like, oh well. I'm used to moving around a lot, and I've been in New York for about almost 2 years. It was about a year and a half, so I was like, I kind of need to move around. So I ended up moving out here, checking out the scene, and then I was like, okay, I can get my education while I'm out here. There's a base out here, and I was like, okay, if I wanted to, I can go back, be a defense contractor if possible, or work for Lockheed Martin or some other defense organization that's out here. So that's one of the things that I loved about my career is it was such an oddball career, but it opened up so many different avenues of approach for me to get opportunities in other jobs.
Okay. And what is your favorite thing about living here in Cochise County?
I'm going to be honest. I got used to Pensacola, Florida with the aircraft flying around, so I love the fact that there's aircraft flying around all the time. The community is very very great. I don't have any problems with the community here. I love it here.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, I feel you.
It took me a while to get used to it because I'm a fisherman, by trade. So I love fishing and I love going out, hitting the water and just smashing them. But now it's just like there's not as much ocean next to me, so I got to go out to the lakes, headed there. So I got used to the transition from water to desert. So
did you know as a 100% veteran you could get a free or you get a fishing license for free, fishing and hunting license?
Somebody had just mentioned that to me the other day.
Yeah,
because I was showing him a pond that we wanted to go out to, and he was like, "Yeah, aren't you VA? You can just you're a veteran, so you're 100%. You can go get a card for free." I was like, "What? I'm paying for it this whole entire time." I didn't know that. So there's so many benefits that I'm still like picking up here and there. Everybody's always telling me new stuff all the time, so it's good. It's good having that knowledge.
Yeah, it's a free hunting and fishing license if you're at 100%. And I sometimes I mess up the organization, so I want to get it right here real quick. And no better place to look than right here on. So there's an organization that works out of the Warrior Healing Center. It's called Heroes Healing Heroes. And what they do is they take veterans that have 100%, disabilities, and take them out on a fishing trip, take them out on a hunting trip. So if that's something that you're interested in after the interview, I'll be happy to give you their contact information and hook you up with them, because they do a lot of good things for our veterans here. And man, some of the fishing trips and hunting trips and stuff that they go on, it's amazing.
It was crazy because the Michigan Marines were the ones that got me into hunting, because I was already fishing. Yeah, and I'd never used a bow before. They were like, "Oh man, you gotta check this out." Man, they started showing me the bows. Everybody had Cummins trucks and stuff. Everybody had so many things. I was like, "Man, you guys getting paid a lot. You guys trucks, cars, guns, all this stuff." They're like, "Yeah, we go hunting all the time. You can come out with us." And I was like, "Oh, I had a great experience." So I was like, "Yep, I guess this is another thing to add to my hobbies list." So.
And then if you have a disability that prevents you from like going after the game or whatever, they can actually set up the weapons for you, and then you would actually do the firing. And then once the target is wounded, and they would go out and get it for you as well.
That's good.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, it's a great setup, and so many veterans feel like they've accomplished something just by being able to go out and hunt and fish and provide for their family and stuff like that. It's amazing. I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
I'm totally down for that.
Yeah. So tell us about some of your volunteering and organizations and stuff that you do here in Cochise County, Sierra Vista.
Right now, I just finished up school, so I'm volunteering at the First Baptist Church on Kings Highways, I believe.
Yeah, that's what you said. Uh-huh.
So I'm volunteering over there right now, and then I help out a few of my veteran friends that needed help with their claims, their VA claims. So I'm kind of like balancing those two for right now, and I do security at the church sometimes. I just volunteered, and it's been all right. I didn't have any problem with it. It's nice having a big difference from going, because in New York and in Florida we didn't have armed security in the church. And being able to go into church and know that, I don't got to worry about somebody coming after me, constantly.
Or your family or your friends or
a big help, So as soon as they asked, I was like, yeah, sure. I got no problem with that. It's easy for me. I'm a big guy. Most people they get intimidated. So if they are going to do something, they're less likely to do it. And the fact that I did, all those security things while I was in Okinawa kind of helped me out. So I gained, all that knowledge from doing all that stuff.
It's sad though, because I never imagined living in a world where you would be in danger of going to church. You would be in danger of going to like public school and with everything that goes on these days with all the shootings and stuff. It's just so it's very admirable that you do that at your church and keep the fellow parishioners or your fellow churchgoers, keep them safe. So it's crazy world.
Yeah, you got to be observant. That's the key to everything, is just being observant, watching. And most of the time, like everyone says, it's when you're not paying attention that something happens. So it's good having the extra help there and having the extra eyes to watch everything and make sure everybody's protected. So everybody wants to go home at the end of the day.
So are you working right now as well, or?
No, not yet.
No?
I did, like I said, I was just full time blowing through school. I for everybody that's been in the military previously and did school while they were in the military, I applaud you, because I had a difficult time just busting my chops, blowing through a whole year of school. That was a lot. It was a lot.
Right.
I did summer school last time. That was killing me because it was an 8-week course, and I didn't think too much about like what the course was and what it entailed. I took statistics, completely bombed it.
And are you still using your GI Bill
Yes,
today?
currently, yes.
Okay, because being at 100% too, that you also have the vocational rehabilitation available as well.
Yeah, somebody had mentioned that to me as well, and other VA programs for education benefits, and that's a big thing for me because education is going to get me that more money. So that's an end goal thing. It's like, okay, how can I get more finance for my family to make sure that everything's good in the future? So if I when I'm married and I have everything set up, I don't have to worry about bills or finance because I already got it set.
What is it that you're looking at doing? I mean, what's your future goal, your future dream job?
So I wanted to be a U.S. Air Marshal because I thought that job was cool.
Badass.
It does sound badass. And I was like, man, that'd be cool being on a flight, doing all this stuff. I found out a lot of that job isn't just, being on a flight. You had to go do extradition. You had to go to other countries, go extradite people. You had to do a lot of paperwork, and I hate paperwork, but I do it anyways. So I was like, it's not that much, it's not a bad job. It looks really great, and it's something fun that I can do that I would enjoy actually doing. I love law enforcement, and I love law just in general. I wanted to be a lawyer when I was younger. I was fanatic about that. I don't know why, but I love the court system.
Right.
And I feel like now, with things and how they're changing, that would be beneficial for me to look into that because how the system is right now, it's kind of messed up. So a lot of things that need to fix. Rules need to be changed.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that are causing issues for a lot of people. So I just want to benefit for the masses pretty much.
Very good. Very good. Burton, thank you so much for taking time out again and coming in and sharing your story with us today. Just a few announcements for everybody today. I want to mention that the AmVets is open to all veterans, and they are looking to boost up their membership. So it's a congressionally chartered veterans group, and they raise money for kids, education, scholarships to do projects to help the community. AmVets is short for American Veterans, and they meet right here at the Warrior Healing Center, and they will be meeting here on Tuesday, June 4th, starting at 18:30, going to 19:30 hours, and they meet right here at the Warrior Healing Center. And I would encourage you to come to the meeting and check the group out and see if it's something that speaks to your heart. Also, on Monday, June 3rd, starting at 1700 hours and going until 1830 hours, we have the Tai Chi and the Qigong class that's taught by Melissa and her husband, Glenn. They do a fantastic job with that class, so I invite you to come in and join them as well. On Wednesday, June 5th, starting at 0800 hours, we have the Velo Vets Sierra Vista group ride. They meet at the Pueblo del Sol Country Club parking lot. It's a bunch of veterans get together, go out on a group ride, stop for coffee, get back on their bikes, finish their ride. It's a great organization. So if you have not checked out Velo Vets and would like to, please, I encourage you to do so. Good morning, TC, and thank you so much for joining us, brother. Glad to have you. TC is one of our local veteran business owners. He's does the puppets and stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen his work and stuff like that, but he does a lot of cool stuff and sells in the markets and stuff. And also on Wednesday, June 5th, we have the Global Running Day with Team RWB, and they will be meeting at the Home Depot in Sierra Vista starting at 1730 and going until 1900 hours. And even though it's not on the list, I want to remind everybody that next Friday, June 7th, is our Fun Food Friday. The first Friday of the month, we get together and we meet for lunch. It starts at 1100 hours, and our Cooks Club puts out a nice little spread. It's free for all veterans, spouses, friends. Come on in and check us out, and we would love to have you. Hope to see you here next Friday and Friday morning. I will have another show. And also on Monday, I'm going to have a special live stream to make up for a couple that I missed. So I'm looking forward to that. That will be Monday morning right here from the Warrior Healing Center at 9 o'clock. So once again, Burton, thank you so much. I really appreciate, man, and thank you for sharing your great story of service to our nation and to our community. We appreciate you, and we thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, have a great day and a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday morning right here, Michael's Air Show. Bye-bye, everybody.